Do you think of yourself or refer to yourself as a non-native speaker teacher? If you do, then in this video I want to give you 3 main reasons why you need to stop immediately referring to yourself as a non-native speaker teacher if you really want to succeed in this profession and if you want to tackle the native speaker bias and become more successful. If you're new here, guys, my name is Marek Kiczkowiak and I run TEFL Equity Advocates and Academy, where I promote equal opportunities for English teachers and help English teachers tackle native speakerism. Before we get right down to it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and also that little bell icon so you don't miss my future videos. First really important reason is that the prefix non itself has a very negative meaning. In fact, it has 3 negative meanings, as you can see here from this definition, right? So the first meaning is that it's an absence of something. So if you're a non-native speaker, it means that you kind of lack this quality of nativeness, right? The second meaning that you can see here is that it's not important or worthless. For example, something can be a non-issue, right? And the third also negative meaning is that it's of worse quality, that it's simply inferior. So by calling yourself a non-native speaker, you might be further perpetuating these ideas and prejudices that many people might already have about non-native speakers, and you're further perpetuating the negative meaning of the prefix non that you can see here. The second very simple reason is that if you, especially in the hiring process or when you're looking for one-to-one clients, if you start using the word non-native speaker, it might have a negative impact because obviously a lot of people do have negative prejudices about non-native speaker teachers. So say you send a CV somewhere, right? And the first thing that people see on that CV is that you're a non-native speaker, or that your first language is, say, Chinese or Polish or Brazilian or whatever else your first language is, right? As soon as the recruiter sees that, if they have any negative prejudices against non-native speakers, your CV might make a very fast route into the bin very quickly without even being considered. So to me, if you're applying for jobs and anywhere you mention being a non-native speaker, it's just you're simply shooting yourself in the foot. You're doing yourself a disservice and you will be much less likely to get hired. The last reason that I want to talk about why I think you should stop using the prefix non and talk about yourself as a non-native speaker is connected to the meaning of the prefix that I already mentioned. The meaning, as we saw, is very, very negative, and there are many other more positive terms that you could be using in order to talk about yourself, be it with your students, when you apply for jobs, when you present yourself to new clients on your website. There are plenty of places where you can really create a professional profile and really attract potential customers as well to study with you. And some of these alternative terms that you could start using is something like, for example, a proficient English user. You could talk about being a qualified English teacher, or maybe a CELTA qualified or an MA qualified, whatever your qualification is, right? You could simply talk about being an experienced English teacher, a professional English teacher. There are also other terms to do with the fact that naturally, as somebody who did not speak English as the first language, somebody who has had to learn it, you are at least bi or maybe multilingual. So why not use that instead of non-native speaker? For example, you could talk about yourself as a bilingual teacher of English. You could talk about yourself as a multilingual English teacher, right? Another very positive term related to this, and also which kind of relates to having learned another foreign language to a high degree of proficiency, is a polyglot, right? And I think it's a very positive term that you could use yourself. So now I mentioned that, if you stop using the label non-native speaker and start using one of the labels that I've shown you here, one effect might be that it will be easier to find clients and easier to land jobs, because you will be sort of bypassing that prejudice that many recruiters have towards non-native speakers. But I think the second really important point is that you will start feeling different about yourself. And I think this is something that we should not overlook. If we constantly think of ourselves in these non-terms, right, in these negative terms, this is bound to negatively affect our confidence and who we are as English teachers. And I've literally had the chance to interact with thousands and thousands of English teachers who don't speak English as their first language. And it always strikes me how many of them really lack in confidence. And I mean, this is understandable, bearing in mind the prejudices and the discrimination that many of them have had to face. But I think one really important point is that if you continue thinking about yourself and talking about yourself as a non-native speaker in these negative terms, you're further kind of perpetuating this negativity, and that's bound to affect how you feel about yourself, about your ability to teach the language, and ultimately about your ability as well to succeed in English language teaching. So if you still use the term non-native speaker to refer to yourself when, for example, talking about yourself on your website, on your CV, when presenting yourself to prospective clients, then stop doing it right now and start using one of the alternative terms. If you enjoyed this video, then give it a like and give this channel a follow as well so you don't miss my future videos, and also check out my online teacher training programs at TEFL Equity Academy.